There we go. I was muted. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's doing great today, Thursday, September the 4th. So, yeah, talking about the weather, summer is coming to an end. Sharon, hello. Boyasim, hello. Who else is here? Tell me if I'm audible and tell me how everyone is doing and all that nice stuff. Go tell your friends to subscribe. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Zen. Hello, Sharon. Good. Thank you very much. Yeah. So, Sharon, about that thing we've been attending the last few days, wink, wink, maybe we should have a discussion and see if we can publicize it to get more people. Wink, wink. Yeah. Maybe there's something um, we can invite people to. Wink, wink, you know. I won't say anything else. So, heads up, Dancers for Peas, good morning. I haven't prepared anything today, but I'm sure I'll find something to say. Okie dokie, good, good, good. We'll talk about it on the dark channels. All right. Now, I did have some questions off the spreadsheet and all that. I will make sure to do a housekeeping. Dawson says I'm up for anything involving winking. Like wink, wink, wink. Good. Costadine, hello. Have we met? It's like, you ask someone, hey, from Greece. Oh, do you know Mr. Papadopoulos? It's one of the most common names. Hope you're well, Constantinos. Yeah. Hit me up on Twixer. Tell me what you're working on. Or the new stuff I'm talking about with Sharon. Wink, wink. Yeah, you'll be notified duly. What was I going to say? Yes, I was going to say that I have somewhere here some various questions and stuff. And what I want to start with is although we don't get too many of these questions, there are some questions that have to do with stuff that doesn't work. And I've said it in the past, and I'm going to say it again. If something appears not to be working as you would expect it to, there's no harm in contacting support. And that we have an excellent support team that can help you with these things. The other thing is there are some questions about accessing tutorials on Cineversity and all that. There's not much I can do about that. If anyone is not happy with what they get with their particular subscription and all that, it doesn't have anything to do with the training team. Me in particular, please contact Maxon. Let Maxon know. Maxon is a very user-friendly company, and if possible, they will try and do things. Okay, let's see what Constantino says. There's a way to distribute some. All right, I'm going to start with my compatriots question here. And just to make sure that everyone is on board, if you have a question, please preface it with the word question, capitalized preferably, so I can distinguish it. I get so many compliments and love messages and all that. So, I get lost in the uh, plethora of messages I get, which may not be 100% accurate, but in my mind, that's how I feel. Okay, let's go and add a screen to this. Maybe do this. And 1 second, excuse me. There we go. So, and actually, I'm going to get rid of my face here. I may add it later on for aesthetic reasons. So let's go to the comments and pull up Konstantinos's question. Is there a way to distribute some geometry, say cubes? Haha, have different sizes, but the same distance between them, or do you have to use nodes? Yeah. Everyone thought it will be simple. It is something you have to use nodes for that. Now I had promised something like this. Did I share a file? I think I shared something recently. I think Dominic Rockley has assets that do these kind of things. Go check out his very accurate comment. What's the point of watching your face isn't here? Yeah, while I get it, learning Cinema 4D is not a bad thing, but here's my face anyway. So, if you don't have Dominic Rockley's YouTube channel link, let me know and I'll post it again here. I don't have it ready to post it directly, but I can quickly search for it. And I think amongst he's selling a pack of or giving out. I'm not absolutely sure, but I think one of his setups includes that. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. What other questions? Yes, as Sharon says, Dominic's tools are really good, and he does some fantastic tutorials as well. I will post it. Oh, some of my friends, can you please post Dominic's um, YouTube channel, please, in the chat, and if necessary, I'm going to throw it in the other chat as well because we're streaming in 2 channels today. Okay, let me go down to my spreadsheet. Answer some very quick questions. Um, I have some questions from quite a few very good artists from Japan. One of them is asking about stereo workflows and exporting both the left and right cameras to an AEC file. You can't do that directly. You will have to manually create a second camera, as far as I understand. Yeah, yes. All right, let's check this out. Let's see what this says. Question about remeshing a heavy sculpture in Cinema 4D. Is there any way to keep details from a million poly object, transform them into 2K poly object, for example? You can transfer a lot of the attributes are transferred when you do a remesh. So it does support, well, in theory at least, UVs and stuff like that. Or you can use the VAMP for that. It depends on the type of data. There is data like UVs in certain circumstances are very hard to transfer over, and you always have to do something, and that's not just a Cinema 4D issue. What I'd like you to do is um, get in touch through the form, and maybe you can send me a link of what you're trying to do. But in any case, let me just show you a quick preview of how you would go about do something like that. I'm just going to use something from here, where I can go to models and let's see humans characters. Yeah, let's go and find a character and let's see what we can do. Let's grab this person over here. Okay, now of course this is not a very high resolution model, but we can turn it into high resolution model by the magic of subdivision surface. And let's make this 4 and 4 and maybe 5 and 5 and make it editable. So now we have a very high resolution model with all sorts of interesting things going on here. Okay. Now the question is, let's see, what kind of detail? So maybe this is not. So you want, okay, I think I understand now what you want. Let's assume you have some model details and you want to use them as normal maps, for example. Well, that is not something you can directly do from one model to the other. There is a process to do it, and I would like you to ask that. So do go to the forum. I'm going to post the link later. Do ask the question. So to remind me about doing something like that. It appears that caching, baking from high to low. Now, if this is something you already created in Cinema 4D, if you sculpted it in Cinema 4D, there is a way. And let me show you what that way is. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the opposite, because as I'm reading the question, I realize I may not have understood it. So let's get rid of the texture just so that we can do this. So this is your low poly object, which we're going to subdivide to create a very high poly object to sculpt upon. And let's go and bring up the sculpting here. Sculpting, and where's my here is my sculpt. Good. And let's go and subdivide this. So let's subdivide once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times. We're at 3. What's 3.5 million? Yes, I will. I will share the link when I do the housekeeping. So just please bear with me. All right. So I have this sculpted model. This, and it's 356,000 polygons. And let's use middle click and left to make it smaller, middle click up and down to increase the strength. And we can go and maybe, what's happening here? Pull up. Don't I have the object selected? I do have the object selected. Oh, okay. This, okay. All right, there's something going on here. Maybe the object itself has reverted normals. Let's see if this is the case. So, like, yes. That's hilarious. So what happened here, I'm just going to repeat, and maybe this is a nice little exercise. I was painting on the front and it will paint the back. That is an indication of there's some sort of normal thing. This model, for whatever reason, has inverted normals, which is a good thing to note. So let's first get the model, right click and reverse normals. So now things are going to be at least slightly better. So let's go back here. I've got the object selected. Let's go 1 and 1, 2, 3, and let's go to the object mode. I think we're good enough for what we're doing for this exercise. Okay, so now I can go, look at that, it works now. So basically what the Cinema 4D sculpting system does, it does create maps for the sculpting. It doesn't directly move the geometry. So what you're seeing here is a new object, a deformed object. That's why everything here is on the tag. All the information on the, if I remove the tag, it will lose all the information. Okay, so we need to remember that. The great thing about the Cinema 4D's system, a sculpting system, is that it's got some built-in functions where you can bake stuff. So let me remember where I find them on. Where's my bake? I'm trying to remember where the bake is. Is it here? Is it? No, actually, I'm going to go to Mesh and Sculpt. And we have the bake sculpt objects down here. The icon, that should be somewhere in the interface. There you go. And what you tell the sculpting system is to bake from a certain resolution in the options. So here we have 3 levels. So level 3, I subdivided it 3 times. So we have 3 levels of subdivision. Each one has 4. So sorry, you get 1, make it 4. So yeah, 4 times more polygons. And the final level is level 3. Now, if I go and add 1 more here, it will appear as level 4, but I won't. So let me undo that. And what you're telling it is to go and bake all the details from level 3, from this, what you're seeing here, this subdivision level, all the way down to level 1, which is the original one, right? Which is this one over here, right? And you can always see intermediate parts. And yeah, well, everything else is about the image size and all that. So essentially, if this is what you're after, to take your Cinema 4D high-res sculpt and bake it down, this is how you're going to do it. Let's go and do it. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Famous last words. Okay, let's go. I'm going to get displacement. I don't want to get, maybe normals if you have more fine details. Let's get the normals. I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to save EXR or TIFF or whatever. get a folder here and get bum 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 bum. Where are we? Okay, I'm gonna save it in last week's. Where's here we are. Just give me a second. I'm trying to save this somewhere and I don't have the appropriate folder already set up. I'm just creating a folder on my other screen just for entertainment purposes. I'm going to put my face here so you can see me looking around. So you don't just look at an empty scene. So what was I going to do? I was going to create a new folder. I'm creating a new folder. I'm going to call it ATT sept. Usually I do these things when I'm preparing, but since I came back from vacation, oh, there is a September. I am totally losing it here. I'm totally losing it. I'm going to name this Bake. All right. I had a folder for today. So here it is, September 4th, and it's called Bake. The image is going to be called Bake. It's going to be a 32 bits per channel. You can choose whatever format you want and various options. I'm not going to make it 8K. I'm going to make it 2K because I can. Let's go to the options. Do not use optimal mapping because this is going to use, without it, it's going to use the current UV unwrapping. Usually that's what you want, unless you haven't got it unwrapped, where if you turn this either cubic or angle, it will give you some sort of UV unwrapping. Maybe ambient occlusion if you want. And here, depending on the kind of displacement, RGB or anything else, or intensity, I'm just going to go for an elevation map and just with intensity, round geometry, all these things depending on where you're exporting this for. And here's the preview. See it with all the UVs, and here is the bake. So very quickly, sampling, you can see right down here, it's doing its little thing. Bonk, 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 bonk. I think we're done. Now we have a second object, right? We don't need the sculpted one, or we can move it to the side. Let's take the object and move it to the side. There you go. They don't look that different in the viewport, do they? Well, you will see that this one is low, this one is high, and all the details here have been now encoded using the 3 channels we had. And that's the old one, the material I removed. So delete unused materials. It's the one that was on the character. But here, and it's the standard Cinema 4D, but the textures themselves apply to Redshift. So in the diffusion, we have the ambient occlusion channel, this over here. We have the normal, and we have the displacement, which is intensity. And if you render this, so let's go and render it. Well, let's go and add them to Redshift. Okay, let's do that because we can. And we have Redshift renderer. Double click to create Redshift material. Let's drag this over here and replace this. And let's go here and start dragging in the various textures. So see texture. Let's get a texture. And what I'm going to do is go here, and you see we have a link at the path. So copy this path and paste it in here. It's one of many ways. I can go to that folder and just drag them over here. Which one was this? This was the displacement. So I need to do a displacement. So displacement, there we go. Drag it in here, put it in the displacement, and make sure it's a height field. Of course, we need to play with the scale. Just that, I'm going to leave that for now. I've applied the material. Let's go and start the IPR. There you go, and let's go and increase this to whatever the level was. I don't remember what it was, and there you go. You have your details. And of course, if you want to subdivide it, those what was it, 3 levels? That is the equivalent of going to this object here, applying a Redshift object, overriding. Let me close this. I don't need this anymore. Overriding your geometry, tessellation, and the minimum edge length. Of course, enable the displacement and make sure that you have enough. Whoops, scale 1. Boo-boo. There you go. So now we have the subdivision. We have all the elements we need as applied properly on this object over here. And let me get rid of reflections. Maybe make this a bit whiter. Yeah. And I guess that will be it. Let's see if there's anything else we need here. Is there anything else we need? I'm not absolutely sure, but in any case, this will be overall the process you would use. You can make this even higher with, I don't like these things coming out. I do not know why. I'm probably doing a mistake, but you understand, yeah, you understand what the process is to bake them down and applying them. Maybe sRGB, or is it raw? Yeah, these are the things. Maybe it's raw, what I need to use because it's raw data. I would say something like that. Now, on the other hand, I think that you may go here and apply a subdivision surface object. So let me do this for a second. Okay. Display lines, good. Start IPR. Why am I getting the triangulate? Oh, I think it's the baking. Okay. I think it's a baking because I baked it low resolution. I think it's something like that. So edit image. I think it's going to fire up Photoshop. I'm going to check the messages in a second. Let's see what this gives us. Yeah, we've got some artifacting here going on. So yeah, Redshift is just doing what we told it to do. There you go. These are the artifacts that come from the image. Maybe I should have baked it at a high resolution. But in any case, this will be the process. You just go to your sculpt layout and make sure in the sculpt over here, you do your bake sculpt objects and you follow those simple directions. Hopefully it's going to work for you. Okay. Let's see what we have. Where are we? Do-do-do. Let's see. Let's see. What is this? A pool of liquid pull itself together and form different shapes. So you want liquid to, let's come out of a container and create various shapes. That is something you would do with a particle simulation mostly. So the programmatic part you would do with a particle simulation. I don't even know where to start with this. Let's see. Let me think. What can we do? Let me have a sip of coffee and a moment to think. Thinking. Beep, beep, beep. Cheers. Let's think. Okay. Let's create, so that we can create two. All right. Let's break down the problem here. Let's break down the problem. Let's go backwards. Let's move backwards. We need to create some shapes. Let's say a star using particles and a blob using particles. And all right, so a blob. Let me undo this. I want to make it blue because I want, yep, blue. So we're going to have two different particle groups. And okay, so I need then all these to start. So they're going to start and they're going to end up here. They're going to start from a mixed pool of particles over here. Now, in order to do that, we need to find a way to know the approximate positions of the particles in their final position so that we can drive them. I thought I showed something similar in one of the previous shows where we were doing particles going to objects. Give me a second. Let me open a file explorer here and see where I did that, because it's in one of the other shows we did do a particle morphing into a certain shape. I just need to find it, which is not always the easiest thing to find what I did in the past. So let me. All right, Sharon is leaving. Bye, Sharon. Talk to you about that. Wink, wink. Okay, let's see where we are here. Take a look over here. The Ask the Trainers. Thinking. Let's just recreate the whole thing. So this is the concept. I'm going to create some particles that have data that align to one position, and some other particles that have data that aligns to another set of positions, and then we can work backwards from that. Now, whether it's going to succeed or not, I do not know. Now, what's the best way to fill something with particles? We can use other particles, I would assume. So let's take two simple objects. Let's go and get a star. I'm going to make a little star, and this may take up the rest of the show, but hey, who cares, right? Let's do that. Let's do an extrude. So we have an object here, and I'm going to move this object to a certain place. I'm going to move it here, and I'm going to create a second object, which is a sphere. And I'm going to move it here. So what I'm going to do, that's my thought process. This is group 1 and this is group 2. I'm going to create particles. So a shot of particles. I'm going to use a mesh emitter. I'm going to emit a shot of, let's say, 1,000 particles, not more, in the volume of object 1. And I want to make sure that they don't move. So we should get particles filling. There you go. So these particles are only going to be used to take their positions. And we have, so mesh emitter 1, particle group 1, and that we have 1,000 in 1. Then I'm going to select this and do the same thing, simulate emitters, mesh emitter 2, particle group 2. Mesh emitter is going to be the same thing. It's going to be volume. It's going to be a shot. It's going to be 1,000. You can play with these numbers as you wish. Now, this is not the only way, but it's one of the ways you would do that. And make sure in the properties they have a speed of 0. I'm going to turn off the second one and make sure this color is, let's say, a reddish color over here, pinkish. So now we should get another 1,000 particles in the other side. There you go. So now we have these two static groups here. And the idea would be to create 2 other particle groups, or 1 particle group, and just divide half of them go here and half of them go there, or something like that. And these particles would just stay here just as references, or we can create these positions using other means and record that data into a new particle group. So let's just do a basic emitter here. That's going to shoot, let's say, 1,000 particles, shoot 1,000 particles. And we can create some sort of custom property. There you go. So we can go here and create a custom property, simulation particles. And let's create a manual custom property of, it should be a position, so it should be a vector. Let's go here, add a vector meter because it's a position, and call it dest for destination. Okay, so all particles now have a destination. Let's call these final 1 and final 1. And all right, so these particles that are moving here, which could be in any state, you can create them in a bowl, in a certain shape, and whatever you want to do. Now we need to find a way to get these particles to move in one of these 2 directions. Now, you would say, but I want, to have a bowl full of particles, something like that. Well, it doesn't matter because liquids are essentially particles. And what's going to happen here is that when I go and apply, and I've got my particle, I don't have a particle layout. If you go here and apply a liquid modifier only to this group here, you will see that these particles are going to keep moving, and they react to gravity. Let's get rid of gravity. And they are going to react as liquids. Okay, so they are liquids. All we need to do is now find a way to drive these to go to each one of these positions over there. Okay, now let me think about this. There are quite a few ways. I'm not going to go completely. I'm not going to finalize completely this setup, because it will take more time, because I'm thinking through. I haven't prepared things. I have to think it through. Now, there are, let me think here, because we need to find a way to tell the first particle from this group to go to the position of the first particle of this group over here. So we need to tag the particles with another custom property that will tell them in which particle's direction we want them to move. Now, with one particle group, what makes this a bit more, I would say, slightly more complex than it should, is that we're using more than one group. So we need to find a way to split them down. So allow me to do something else, right? I'm gonna rewind myself a bit. So I'm going to rewind myself a bit here. I'm actually going to just grab. This is how things are done, iterations. So here's my star. Okay, here's my star, and I'm not going to generate positions. What I am going to do, I don't know if it's going to fail. Oh my Lord. Let's go and create. Right, let's go and create a basic emitter with our 1,000 particle shot. And these are not going to be moving, just still. And the emission is going to be, let's make it into a sphere. There we go. So we have 1,000 particles that are doing nothing. And I want to find a way to make them go there. And I'm going to use a particle nodes modifier. Modifiers, particle nodes, because you can do all sorts of stuff with the particle nodes modifier. Let's say we only wanted to apply to this group over here. And let's go to a node setup. I want to take this object over here. I'm going to add it as an input. So object child. Hopefully this is going to work. I'm going to use a distribution, and I think there is a volume distribution or something like that. Must have a volume voxel fill distribution from this geometry. I do need to transform the geometry transform using the matrix. It's something you need to do standard. If this is not in the center of the world, you have to do that. So, and I want to make sure that I have approximately 1,000 of these. Oh, this doesn't give me a certain number. It gives me a voxel size. So I don't know how many positions I have here. It's filling this with gaps of 5 centimeters. So we're going to have to play with this a bit. So amongst this distribution, let's decompose container. Let's just decompose this. This is a container. If you click here, it's an array collection. All right, collection is a container. This is providing us with every single point that's been generated by the volume voxel fill with a matrix and index. Matrix is just position, scale, and rotation. And this is here an array. So what we can do with this is get element. Now I can either get an element from this or get an element from this. So here I'm going to get each one. I'm going to leave this array. So here from the matrix, I can get the translation, which is the position of each one. So somewhere in this star now, there's a certain number of positions generated because we are creating that object to fill its volume with matrices that are 1 centimeter apart, each one from the other. And those are stable. They'll just sit there unless we move the object. So let's see now. I'm going to hide this or make it X-ray or something, I guess, something like that. Yeah, so we can see through it. Let's see if we can take these particles from here when they're born and just move them in one single swoop, not with animation, just place them so we can see if the particles can see these positions. So I'm going to take the unique ID or the group, not the group index, the current index. Current index is the index of the particular iteration. Depending on what we're going to do here, if it's a more complex setup, you may need the unique ID or something like that. I'm going to get the current index, so the index of each particle, or I'll take the unique ID. Again, it's a unique index for all the particles. And for each particle, we're going to extract a specific position. I'm going to feed it in the position of itself. And we should get the particles move here. There they are. Look at that. There they are. All the particles now are aligned inside our star. Now, the reason we only have 1,000 particles, and the volume voxel fill apparently that was quite big. So let's do this. There we go. Ooh, we need more particles. So let's go to the volume builder. Sorry, the particle. I'm using my brain is a bit fractured today. So let's go to the count and increase it. Let's press head. There we go. So you can see that the more particles we have, the more of this object we're going to fill. I'm just advancing by a single frame. There you go. And any excess particles are just going to loop around. There you go. So 10,000 is about this much, maybe 50,000. I can find out exactly how many they are, but I'm lazy. There you go. So we have the final positions. What we've done here is we've used the volume voxel fill, which is a node that allows us to do certain MoGraph cloner distribution types, and then take that data and tell each particle to go to one of these positions. Now, when it comes to these distributions, because maybe you don't want them to be aligned, I'm going to get any distribution. Let's get a spline set distribution. I'm going to right click and toggle node type. The reason is I can now go and see them on the list. This is something you're not going to use. So maybe you have another volume fill. So surface fill, surface random, surface, volume voxel fill is what we did. Surface blue noise. I thought we had a nice little, no, we do not have, darn. We do not have a volume random. I thought we did, but we didn't. Probably had dreamt about it or something like that. But in any case, oh, there is a randomization here. Let's see what that randomize does. There is a randomization option. I think it just removes a certain number of them. Okay, so it will remove a certain number, which means that you can make your voxels a bit smaller and then just remove a few. I'm going to keep it playing so I can fill. Yeah, 1%. There you go. So here I'm generating a very small voxel, which means a lot of particles, and I'm removing 99% of them, and I'm left with randomly placed points. Good. So step one of our objective has been completed. What we don't want them to do is go from being generated to final position in one swoop. Go. So what we're going to do here is, instead of directly driving the position from here, I think we need to do some sort of math thing. So I need to create little directions from each particle to its final position and try and follow that. So I need to subtract, arithmetic subtract a vector. These are standard things once you learn them, you can't unlearn them. So let me see if I can show you. Let's say we have a point in space here and a point in space here. I want to mathematically define the direction of this. Well, we take the position of this and we subtract the position of that. And generally, if let's say we're in world space and this is 0, 0, 0, okay? And let's say we're working in 2 dimensions because I don't want to draw a third dimension. This is, let's say, x equals 1. So it's 1 distance from the x. And it's, let's say, 4 up here. So this arrow is 1, 4. Okay. That's how we define this. And this one here is, I don't know what it is. It's 10, 12. When we subtract one from the other, so 1 from 10 and 4 from 12, we will get this arrow over here. Okay, subtracting the vectors will give you that direction. Now, which one we subtract, we'll find out. Sometimes you need to do the opposite of what you think. So I'm going to subtract the current position from the position we want to go there. And this gives us an arrow. Now I can put this in the velocity and let's see what this does. So they're going in the opposite exact direction. So I just need to reverse these two. Rewind. There you go. Then you can see now that they're going towards there. Now, when they kind of reach that position, they will start jittering a bit because, it's never 100% accurate. We're not exactly there because the speed is getting slower and slower and slower because we're nearly getting to that position. So there are ways where you can find out how fast the particle is going. And if it reaches a certain threshold, let's say when it's 1 centimeter close to the final position, you can just stop it from moving and stuff like that. So let's do a quick recap of what we've done here. We have defined, using a volume voxel fill, a bunch of random positions. You can define these. This is what I was trying to do here. I was trying to define these positions using other particles. So in this particular case, you would have to have those other particle groups, read the data from the other particle groups, and use them just like we're using this. Let me think. I need to think. There is custom property. Get particle property. I get particle property. There's a way to extract a certain property only from particles of a certain group. I can't remember it right now. I was on vacation. Just don't judge me. My brain hasn't caught up yet. Anyway, back to the recap. So once we've defined a bunch of little positions over here, then we just go and by extracting the data from these positions. So I'm clicking here and you can see this is an array that contains matrices, the index, the first one is 0, the second one is 1, and so forth. Various other MoGraphy looking things, right? This is all the same data that the MoGraph cloner has. If you go to the cloner and look in the transform tab, you see color, you see weights, you see all sorts of things. The matrix, so this is the matrix, position, scale, rotation. So that's the matrix. Then you have the index, which is the index, right? This index of each cloner, and so forth. So a distribution is somewhat similar to the data that a cloner or a matrix generates. And then we just go take each value from here from using, because this is an array, right? This is a bunch of matrices. So there's a matrix for the first of the generated points, there's a matrix for the second one, third one, and the numbering, the first one, the second one, the third one, the fourth one, and so forth. We can get it individually by using the get element. And I'm just taking the unique ID of the particle, which has a similar structure like the arrays of anything, of any array. And we're taking that position and we're just doing that subtraction in order to get those little arrows. And with each iteration, the particle moves using that velocity, the arrow's velocity. Now, the great thing about this is that you can do a number of things here. So what if you want the particles to move at a steady speed, right? You don't want them to decelerate, because this is what's happening. It's they're decelerating. The reason they're decelerating is that if a particle is here and it's going here, its velocity, which is the subtraction of those vectors, is large. Therefore, it's going faster. But if it's going here, so if the particle has reached this position and it's still going here, I'm just offsetting it, then the velocity is going to be smaller because the arrow is smaller. That's why we see the particles start fast and decelerate. So how do we give them a constant speed? Well, if you want to get just the direction of this vector and not the magnitude, you normalize it. And that is the general way. So normalize. And if you take this now here, the direction is going to be the same. So this is going to be the same, but the length of this vector is going to be 1, because that's a standard unit. And it's going to be 1 centimeter. That means that if I plug in here that one, the particles are going to be moving at 1 centimeter per second, which for all intents and purposes is extremely slow. They are moving, but they're moving at this speed. So we have the direction. The direction is coming from here. Right? This is the direction. This is the direction and the velocity. Sorry, this is the velocity, which is the speed and direction in one, because the arrow can have different sizes. What I can do is control the speed by multiplying this. So I know now that going in the correct direction, right? In the correct direction, but using a speed of 1, right? With each loop. So I can scale this. And there's a scale node, which scales vectors alongside other things. And you just put it in here. And with scale 1, it's going to go again 1 centimeter per second. But I can change the speed. There they are. So now they're going 10 times faster, or 100. Right? And they're going to go to their right positions. There's no question about that, because that is the final position. They will probably overshoot. Yeah, they're overshooting, of course, because they're just going to continue in that direction, right? They are going, I promise you, they are going to the right direction, to the right point, but they're going to overshoot because we're not slowing them down. So in order for us to slow them down, if we use this configuration, we need to know how far they are. So we need to get the length of this. So you can say length, and take the vector length. And what you can say is that, well, if that speed vector is tiny, let's say it's 1, then make my velocity 0. So you can do this logic. You can compare. So we can compare, let's say the length of this to a number. Let's say when the actual speed, the length of that vector is less than 10 centimeters per second, right? Then make this true, and you can use a switch. Switches are amazing, and even in Redshift you can use switches. Not there. Let's do this again. Switch. So what's going to happen here is the switch, you can have an arbitrary number of inputs. And depending on what this switch, which is represented by a menu, if this number is 0, it's the first input that's going to come out here. If the number is 1, it's the next one, 2, 3. But you can use this with Boolean operations like this. So this is a Boolean. You can see it's a bool because it's a comparison. It's a logical comparison. Either the vector length is less than 10 or not. If it's less than 10, that means this is going to turn into a 1. I want the second input, which is and we're putting velocity. So I'm actually going to use the data type to be a vector. I want it to be 0, 0, 0. I want it to stop, no velocity. Right? So I'm going to connect this here. When this is false, so when my little arrow is larger than 10, which is now my number here, that means that it returns false because I have less than. And in that case, I want the first input to go to velocity. Once that becomes less than the 10, I want it to stop. 0 means stop. Let's see if this works. So they're going to fly towards that. And when they get to a certain distance over 10 from their final position, they should stop. But they're not stopping. So let's see why. Because I did the opposite again. No. Okay. Less than. Oh, I guess they never get to that position. Let's try this again. The vector length. So they are the vector. So it kind of worked, but not really worked. I haven't read the comments for a while, so hopefully everyone is still there. Let me see. Yeah, people are still here. Okay, let me think about this again. So the vector length, which is essentially the speed, all right, because it comes after the subtract. This is the speed. If the speed is less than 10 centimeters per second, then I want the particles have a velocity of 0. If not, so which means that if they are more than 10 centimeters per second, oh, and my speed here is 100. Okay, because the speed is 100, they're never going to be 10. Right? Let me think about this one more time. Let's do. I just want to test it. I think my brain is getting a bit fried now. These they should stop. I'm doing something opposite here. Oh, yeah. So the ones that happen to come close to that. So my logic is a bit flawed here. Yeah, so they do stop. Oh, there you go. They do stop. There we go. Okay. So I think it's because I was scaling them. I was scaling it up too much. Something like that. Something like that. I'll figure it out in my dreams tonight. But the logic is sane. It may not be the most optimal of all the setups. Other stuff you could do is if you want to get your hands and feet dirty, because this is not only hands-on, a bit more complex. You can do things like you can add fields to this as well. So you can accelerate them or decelerate them based on some sort of field values. And if you go and check out the tutorials I've done on University, which I'm going to show in the housekeeping, you will see there are some applications of this, how you can do a couple of things. Not too much, but enough for you to get going. Now, I realized that I took up quite a bit of your valuable time by showing you how to do this. But what I'm going to do here, just gonna, one of the things we're trying to do is get a way to be able to provide you with scene files easier. It's going to take me a couple of months to figure out the best way to do this. But yeah, we're trying to refine it so that it's easier for you after each and every one of these lessons. Any files I've created uh, during the session for you to have access to them. So let me. I can't think of a name. Let's say particles target positions. Well, even if I didn't achieve the ultimate goal, oh right, the liquid stuff. We're talking about liquids, weren't we? All right. Let's assume that this is what I want to do. Right. Let's just assume. Forgive me if it's not, but let's assume this. I can go and add a liquefy here. Let's see how this is going to affect it. Okay, I'm not even sure how it's going to affect it, but it should. All right, we have a lot of particles close to each other, which means I need to go to my liquids and set the default radius to something smaller. I created too many particles there. Good. And you can see now that these particles are reacting to each other in a liquid manner. Now, whether it's better to put the liquefy before or after, I do not know. I do not know. And they should stop. I don't know how it's going to turn out when they stop. Let's see. Let's give it a few seconds and see what it does when they actually do get in their final positions here. I think we have some gravity going on, do we? So see, so they are trying to move gravity. Yeah, the gravity is what's affecting them a bit, that is. And of course, when we mix liquefy and particle simulations, it's good to sort of let's reduce the liquid contribution so that they can still enjoy some of the particle effect. Yeah, I'm not so dissatisfied from this, to be honest. That's an interesting solution. So let me rewind and save. And now let's look. Uh, let's take a look at the chat. Where are we? Oh my lord! Sorry about that. Okay. Let's see. Yes, Dominic Rookley. That is Dominic Rookley. So let me grab that and put it in the other thing as well. Just go here and copy it. I think it's here. So let me just do this and paste it. There we go. There you go, Dominic Rockley, and just get rid of all that rubbish. There we go. And let me paste it on in the general comment. So it goes to both the comment sections. Okay. Let's see. Where are we? There we go. Current material should produce. I haven't done so, Mehmet. I don't know. I haven't done any GLTF. The thing is, I don't have any reason to import GLTFs anywhere. So I haven't. It's one of those things that I haven't really done. So I apologize for that. EJ has done some tutorials on GLTFs, I think. Check out Cineversity, maybe. Maybe he has something on that. Sharon left. Bye, Sharon. Okay. I've done some old ones, one or two on my YouTube channel, but I think that it's better to go and check out what other people are doing. Now, there is a Discord channel dedicated to nodes, C4D procedural, and that'll be an interesting one to join. The ones I find interesting is Redshift, the C4D procedural, and something I need to discuss with Sharon first. Wink, wink for anyone that didn't catch the original joke with Sharon. Don't worry, you'll be informed if anything happens. Okay, let's see. Let's see what this is. I have another question about modeling. Is there any way to move points of an object for its local axis and snap them to another object's points? I want to understand this. Object to its local axis and snap them to another object's points. I mean, we can use snap. I don't know if I understand the question. I would have to see what that means. So let's first of all, let's go and bring up the snapping. So the snapping is this little thing here, and you turn it on and off, or you click on this to bring up this, and you click on this to hold it so that it doesn't disappear. If this is off, it will disappear. It's just a pop-up window. Okay, so pin it, and let's go and let's snap to points, and let's go to my sphere and grab a few points. So let's make it, oh, come on, I just want to make my selection brush. Yeah, I had the wrong brush. If you have the selection brush, you can press middle mouse, you can make it bigger. I'm gonna select these, and when you select points, you get an axis. So let's see if we can get this axis to snap. Right? Is this, yeah, the midpoint. The axis is the midpoint of the selection of the object. Now, you would say, what if I want to snap all these points, but use this as my axis? Well, if you go to your axis mode when you're in points and you click on any of these, the axis is going to move. Unclick it, and now this is going to be the one that's going to stick to whatever you're doing. So I assume this is what you want to do or not. I don't know. Let me know what you want to do, but there are ways of doing at least what I'm showing you now. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Me doing it shows me how little I know. Okay. Yeah, the brain is in the nose, right? This is my nose contains my brain expansion cells, right? Okay. Generally, so can you sample index for their positions and then use particle life as a factor to mix to the end positions? Yes, you could do that. I mean, this is an interesting. Why are you asking me so interesting questions? You're winding me up, and I have to do it now. Don't do that. Hate it when this happens. Okay, my notes. But it's, anyone that had seen Roger Rabbit, it's like when they play the music, da 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 da, and the cartoons have to say da da. That's with me when someone asks a question. So the question is, can't we use the life expectancy, so the normalized life of a particle, to define in which position from start to end it's going to be? And that actually is an excellent question, because it will be a nice way of doing it. So let me show you on this file how we would go about doing that. I'm going to, let's see, I need this. I'm going to leave these as they are. But what I am going to do, and let me go to my particle settings. I'm just going to maximize this so we can see a bit more. And particles, we don't have any minor. Okay. So the particles, first of all, need to have a finite life, and by default, they're unlimited. So let's say we want our particles to have a life expectation of, I don't know, let's see how many frames we have here, 600. Let's say 200 frames. Now, I want them to be random, so some of them will go faster than the others and whatnot. So and I'm adding a randomness of 30 frames. This means that some particles are going to live all the way to 230 frames. Other ones are going to be as short as 170. So this is a spread. Oh, sorry, half of it. So 215 and 185. So this is a spread. You split it in two and you add half of it for the maximum and half of it you subtract it for the minimum. Good. So this is my lifetime. So what I want to do now, let's go to nodes, my nodes. There we go. So I want that life expectancy. And that will be the age is in seconds, the life of the particle. We have where's my velocity, age, life, time is how long they're going to live. I think if we divide this by this, we get what's called, let me show you here. If we go to the modifiers, you get a data map, for example. There's something here called the age percentage. The age percentage is a derivative. These three things here, age percentage, spin, speed, and velocity. Speed, these are derivatives from the actual data, which is all this. That's why, although we have velocity speed, I'm using a vector length to extract it from a vector. So the same thing applies to the normalized age of a particle. Okay, so let me get rid of the switch, get rid of this, and let's get rid of this, I think, and let's get the normalize and the scale, and we'll see what happens. Even this, I don't even think this is necessary. We'll find out. So I need to create a ratio, divide, okay? The lifetime is how long the particle is going to live. So the expectation is the lifetime. That's why it's called lifetime. And the age of the particle is how old it is currently. So if the life of a particle is, let's say for a specific particle, is 200 frames, okay? So let me go here. Let's say a particle is going to live for 200 frames. On frame 200, its age, so when the age is 200, when we divide these two things, we have a ratio of 1. So the life expectancy of 1 or 1%, so not life expectancy, the life percentage of 100% means that it has finalized its life. So it's about to die. Now, let's say its life is 220 frames and it's already alive for 110 frames. So what we need to do is we need to divide this. So basically it's the opposite. This happens to be the same. It's 50th percentile. So we divide this by this and we get 1/2, which is half, which means it's 50th percentile. So what we need to do here is divide and arithmetic divide. And we need to divide the age, the current age, with whatever the lifetime is. This will give us a ratio. Which part of the particle's life? Is it middle-aged? Is it juvenile? And so forth. And we can actually, now we need to invert this, I would say, because we want it to go slow. No, no. What I want to do is use okay, we're not going to use velocity for this. We're going to use position. Correct. We're going to use position. And the position we are going to use is, just thinking out loud here, we want the direction for each and every one. So we need this arrow. We need the arrow that goes from here to here. And we want at the beginning of the life of the particle to be here and at the end to be here. So when its age percentage is 0, it's going to be here. And as it goes forth, it's going to end up here. So what do I need to do to take this is, let's see, 1%, 2%. I need to take this and multiply it or scale it. So I need to scale this vector by this number and put it in the position. Okay. Let's try this. Is it going to work or is it not going to work? It's not working. So let's see what mistake I'm doing here. Let's do a data inspector and advance. There you go. So we have some values here. I think I'm dividing the wrong. One is in seconds. All right, let me take a look at the inputs here, because there should be seconds. Okay, let me check this out. Always advance when using particles. Right. So these the age is in seconds. Good. And what about this? And this? Come on. The life is, yeah. Am I doing the opposite of what I should do? Because this should be from 0 to 1. What am I doing wrong? I'm doing definitely doing something wrong mathematically, definitely doing something wrong, because my explanations here, although make totally sense when I'm saying them, they're actually not making sense to me. Okay, let's try this again. We have the age, which is at which point. All right, that's good. And we have the direction. All right, this is the position, the final position. Now, this is where we want it to die. So we want it to reach the full when this is 1. Age divided by lifetime. Oh my God, why can't I? They can't be. Oh, what am I doing here? Yeah, I think my brain just shut off. That's it. 17. Yeah, 17. Why not? I want to see. So what I want to do here is see numbers. Yeah, but I'm doing something terribly wrong. I'm doing something terribly wrong. And again, it's my brain is shut down. I'm going to read the comments. Maybe someone. Yeah, I'm not going to get to all these answers. I'm doing a terrible mistake here, right? I'm doing a terrible mistake. I thought this was going to be so simple. So 200 frames. Let me do this. I need to simplify. What I do when I want to simplify, right? This is the last piece of advice I'm going to give you today. Okay, let's say I can't figure out what's going on. What I will do is I'm going to set very specific numbers, because although our data here is expressed as frames, internally it's expressed as seconds. Okay, so the life expectancy of each particle now should be 1. So each particle should be 1. And let's see now. And the age of the particle, so let's go here and data inspect the age of each particle. And these are fractions of seconds. Okay. So this should be the numerator. Good. And the denominator should be this. And I want to take that long vector, and here we should get fractional numbers. Why am I not getting fractional numbers? What am I doing wrong? Port inspector. 1. So here we have 0.143 over 1. That's what we have here. I do not understand. what I'm doing wrong. I do not understand what I'm doing wrong. No, I'm totally at this. So this is one of those moments where I thought that I'm doing something extremely simple. You can see that the ages are fractional numbers, so 0.143. Over here, I'm feeding 1. If I oh my lord. Yeah, yeah. I do not know what's going on here. I am totally, um, yeah, I'm gonna, I need to go and reflect on this. Yeah, I'm totally stumped. I'm totally stumped because there's something going on here which, for some reason, at this particular moment, I cannot figure out. And it's probably staring me in my face, people screaming at me, but it's this, it's this, it's this. Anyone? No, this is right. Let's talk about these kind of things now. Okay. Um, yeah, you're not the only one. No, it happens to everybody at every given moment. And what's going to happen is when we shut down the stream, I'm going to figure this out. So anyhow, yeah. Oh my lord. You know what I'm going to do? No, I'm going to do one quick last thing. Okay. I'm going to solve it. And this is one of my proposals. Solve things on pencil and paper. Okay. So a particle, uh, it gets born with a life expectation, right? Of let's say 30 frames, which is 1 second. Okay, 1 second. So when it's born, its life expectation is 1 second. And any particles that are going to be born with this setting are going to have a life expectation of 1 second. When the particle is born, the moment it's born, its actual age is 0 because it was just born. And our timeline advances, every frame, because we have 30 frames per second, its life grows by 1/30th because each frame is 1/30th of a second. So in 30 frames, when we get to the 30 frame mark, its life is going to grow and become 1 second, right? That's the relationship between the life and the age, which grows as it goes, right? By equal increments, unless you mathematically change them. So the objective here to find out, oh, this is so funny. So in order to get the age percentage, what that does, it takes for each particle, as I showed earlier, the life of the particle. Let's say the particle is going to live for 1 second and it's at frame 15. So its age is 0.5. I need to find a way to make a fraction that this is 50%, right? Or one. That's how I go and solve problems. I know these two numbers are correct because I'm setting the particle life to 1 and it's lived half its life, which is 0.5. What do I need to do here in order to get a result of 0.5? Do I need to divide 1 by 0.5? Or do I need to divide 0.5 by 1? Well, the answer is the second. If you divide 0.5 by 1, you get 0.5. Whereas if I divide 1 by 0.5, I think I get 4, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? I think I get 4. So Let's see if this holds. And again, I'm simplifying it, but this is sometimes the way you need to simplify things in order to be able. Let's say we're at the 25th percentile now. Let's say we are at 7.5 frames. Okay. So 0.25. Or the other thing you could do is say, all right, now my particle is going to live its life. It's 2 seconds, and it's halfway through its life, which makes it 1 second. So you do divide the age by the life, and that should give you a ratio. Okay. Let's go and see. So the age by the life. I'm dividing the age by the life. Correct? And I'm getting a result which doesn't make any sense to me. So this is the part where I depart, because there's something here which I do not understand. And this is where I need to contemplate my life choices, all that nice stuff. Yeah, they're all ones. And here they're all fractions, because we're at frame 14. And we should see some particles here. Yeah. I don't know. I do not know what I'm doing wrong. And because if this is wrong, then we won't get an answer, the correct result over there. So, yeah, I think that's all I have for today. 2 times 0.5 equals 1. That was with 0.25, not 0.5, I think. All right, let me read some more of the comments. So my brain, it's not complicated. It's that my brain now is nebulous, and I'm totally confused. It's awesome. Answer. Where do you go on vacation? Nowhere. I stayed home because I live in the outside Montreal, in a beautiful part of Canada, in the Laurentian Mountains of Quebec. So yeah, I don't go on vacation. Well, at least the last few years since we moved here. Okay, let's see. Water into water vapor. Good one. Big Beans, thank you. This helped a ton. I do not know which one helped. I'm confused now. I'm very confused. Okay. Quick answers. A difference between cache scene, a cache object, fluid sims. Yeah, when you press the button cache, so if you have if you go to the particle group and go to the cache, let's go to the full thing here and go cache. You can cache scene. If you cache the scene, it will cache cloth, rigid bodies, and all that stuff for the whole scene. Wherever you see cache scene, it will cache anything that belongs to the new simulations. If you click cache object, it will only cache the object which you're clicking this on. That's the main difference. Okay, let's go. Align points of an object to points of another object with snapping. Yep. Do you mean projecting? I do not understand what that means. Probably some terminology thing about snapping. Like, how can I? Let me tell you why. How can I snap the points of this to the points of this? Because they both have different number of points. So what is the, or even if it's the same shape, how do I snap this to this? These are different points. Unless you mean projection, so making it so that these points, so you can project a cube onto a sphere, for example. Anyway, the specifics, if you show me the before and after, I may be able to help a bit more. So I have this cube here, and I have the sphere inside, okay? I can projector the cube to the sphere, not parallel, directional. Is it directional? no offset, 0 offset. So you can see we are, I take the sphere, so we're projecting the cube's points on the sphere, something like that. Just let me know the detail exactly what you mean. We may be able to yeah, we probably be able to do it. Okay. All right. A few months ago, I wanted to create a camera in isometric view, but I remember I couldn't rotate. Yes, isometric is locked. I gave some answers about isometric cameras. For example, someone wanted to morph from an ISO, so from perspective to isometric, right? So we have the cube, and let's take one camera is normal, one camera is isometric. Okay, so orthographic or isometric, orthographic, or not whatnot. There we go. Okay, so it's a different kind of projection. Now, here's my advice. Whenever you want to create either isometric or orthographic views, it's better to use a standard camera with a very, very, very high focal length. But you will have to take that camera and move it out quite a bit. There you go. This way, although it looks like an isometric camera, it's not. And you can do all sorts of things. You can morph from one to the other and so forth. So you can create all these interesting effects. So if you're doing anything other than just a static view using some sort of these orthographic or isometric, the non-perspective cameras, don't do it that way. It's better just go find on Google something like what is the angle for isometric. There's a very specific angle to get something. It's sort of some degrees this way and some degrees that way. All right. There's a very particular way you do this so that this is a regular hexagon. You can eyeball it if you wish. You can take an n-gon, make the n-gon a child of the camera, zero out everything, move it back in the z-axis there, rotate it by what is, I think it's something, you rotate and then you check this, 30 degrees, you go to the closest, 30 degrees. And now you bring this to the angle that's close to a hexagon. It's possible. There you go. And you have approximately the position you need to have your camera, 44 and 30. These numbers are very, very specific. There you go. And now you have something that is close to a perfect isometric view, but it's not isometric, which means you can do whatever you want with this camera. Okay, that's the reply. Okay. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. Yeah, I think I'm done. Let's do a quick housekeeping. Oh my God, I feel so confused. Yeah. And let's go. What do I need? Oh, yeah, I need to do even the housekeeping. And my brain is a bit, that is Dominic's YouTube channel. That was definitely not what I wanted to show here. There we go. This is what I wanted to show. There we go. So click on the link I'm going to post. Will take you to this page over here. There's a link in the comments. Good. Let me get rid of my face. There we go. So we can see this. This will take you to the thanks for joining our live stream. It helps us track, how many people watch it, how many people appreciate it, everyone, hopefully. And down here, you can ask the trainer questions. And sometimes I may even email you for clarification. Yes. You can go from this page to the Max events where you can see what's going on around the planet and online. And of course, if you want to watch these videos recorded with timestamps and comments kindly provided by a very good friend and mentor, Dr. Sassy, go to the Max Training team. Otherwise, for live, both the Max Training team and the Max YouTube channel offer these streams live, and sometimes we have them on the Red Giant YouTube channel. Of course, don't forget to go and learn ZBrush, now available on the iPad. And yeah, it's, I would say, the most fun application to use. And of course, go to Cineversity and check out thousands of videos about very interesting things. Yes. So where was I here? Yeah. What was I doing? I was the reason I brought up Mixamo is lately I've been having some questions about Mixamo rigs and stuff, and I want to think if you do have any particular questions that relate to Mixamo captures and stuff like that, uh, let me know either by contacting me on Twitter or X or Twixer, as I call it, as Noseman GR, and contact me and tell me about these things, or go to the forum. So again, go to that link I posted. It will take you to the forum. Ask your question, and we'll see what we can do, because I find the use of Mixamo and how you can use the rigs in Cinema 4D very useful, and apparently others find them useful as well. Without further ado, I want to thank everyone for bearing my brain fog today, and yeah, if I find an answer on that, make sure I'll tell you all about it in the next show in a couple of weeks. And now I need to go to the media and assets, and there's an end screen. I'm going to click on that. There's a QR code which takes you somewhere, I don't know. And thank you again. See you soon. Bye bye.